Am I an asshole for telling my parents I am willing to sell them my forgiveness? Don't miss out on the fun. Hit subscribe button and join our community for more stories like this one. My parents expected me to be independent the minute I turned 18. They gave me the money they had saved up for my education, and they started charging me rent. I was lucky enough to have a partial scholarship, and I found a job in the city my university was in, so I moved there before the school year began. With my parents' money, my scholarship, and my wages, I was able to scrape by. I rarely if ever spoke with my parents. I was kind of busy. I guess they decided that they didn't want that kind of relationship with my younger siblings, because they were not presented with the same option. They both lived at home all through university, and even afterwards. I'm 34 now, with a decent job and a great girlfriend, whom I will be marrying this summer. I sent my parents and siblings an invitation. They called me to ask why they were not involved in the wedding. I responded that they hadn't really been part of my life in 16 years, and that I was being nice by inviting them. They said that they acknowledged that they made mistakes when I was young, but that it was in the past and that I should get over it. Against my fiancé's advice, I sent them an itemized bill for everything I paid for myself, that they freely gave my brother and sister. I said if they wanted to be a part of my life, they had to ante up. They said that they cannot afford that, because they are in debt still from helping my siblings out. I laughed at that, and said I hoped that I would see them at the wedding, and hung up. My family are all getting a hold of me, to let me know how much I'm hurting my parents. The thing is that I don't want their money. And I don't want anything from them at all, other than their attendance at my wedding. If they can't do that, then I'm fine with our yearly phone call. Am I an asshole? Comments. Not an asshole. Maybe the itemized bill was a bit much, but I imagine it was cathartic for you. Your parents haven't been around in a decade and a half. They have a lot of nerve to ask to be involved. Not being involved in your wedding is just reaping what they sowed. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding. As someone who was in the same situation, except it was my older brothers who had their way paid all through their undergrads, and I, the youngest, and only female, was tossed to the wolves without even having healthcare, even though my parents both had plenty of money. OP is my hero for making that itemized list. I'm also a successful adult now, and don't want money from my parents, but I also don't consider them parents, and I don't owe them anything. In my opinion, not an asshole, op. I really hate the excuse of, it was in the past and you should get over it. This is really saying, I might have screwed up, but I don't want to be held accountable for it. If I was OP, I'd reply to everyone who says this with, are you still talking about what I said to my parents? That's in the past, and all of you really should get over it. And then hang up/block them. If their perceived choice was going into debt to support their adult kids or lose almost all contact with them like OP, it's not surprising they picked debt. Of course, the reality is the choice was a bit less extreme. Let them live at home rent-free and pay what they could without going into debt. This kinda reminds me of how, back when I was about 15 and still living with my parents, I asked them for a new toothbrush, because mine was well over a year old and super worn. My mum said she couldn't afford it at the moment, and I'd have to make do for a while. A week later they bought my younger sister brand new AirPods and several expensive clothing items. That's a lot of neglect and trauma. You deserved better, and I'm so sorry this happened to you. Were I in your place, I go no contact. This is the healthiest boundary for you right now. If your parents want to be back in your life, they need to earn it by their actions. If you haven't already done so, please get therapy. Not just for your sake, but your fiancé's as well. Your marriage will be much stronger for it. Good luck. Subscribe and hit the bell button for the best Reddit stories available.